Sorry, you'll have an email and a voice home from me, so you can just ignore this. Thank you. I work for Southwest Virginia side, so I don't think I connected you yet.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
It's so good to know. So you were right.
Hey, it's not red. You'll be okay, right?
Give us a little podium. That's all right.
You need one?
Do you have one?
Well, you got those music stands over there.
I got a tall
You know
table.
what, I don't
We
think
got a
like
little round
that.
table over there, a tall table we can grab.
This is.
Excuse me.
Yes. I guess they're letting them through. I mean, we're at the First Baptist Church right now. We're getting ready to have this news conference.
You good?
WJHL.com, WCYB.com, etc. Probably watch it live. All right. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Don't stand too far from the mic if you can help it. Yeah, just in case. You know.
You can get right in next to it. It's not gonna bother me.
Okay.
You know.
Somebody just tell me there's a lot of stuff going on here at one time.
Right. Are we? Everybody ready? I hope we're ready.
Wait, Tom, we're still up there.
Okay.
Yeah, I just.
Oh, okay. Wait for him.
Let me. Are you called in?
No, call in. I mean, just call in.
We're
Well,
ready.
I
We have no idea what's going
He's
on.
on it. He's on
And
it.
then we had a show.
So they should
Oh,
be
they're
ready.
taking the slide, yeah.
We're taking it live. I knew that. All right.
Hey, do you guys have this? Hello.
They're getting ready to start.
Yeah, we're about to. It's about to start. Yeah.
When are you gonna email your problem?
Yeah, well, there's about to start
Do you
now.
want to count him down? Or did you hang up?
Okay. I know. Look, we're starting early.
All right. You guys say when.
I thought you were looking for
I texted him that we were going in 5 minutes. He said, okay.
I know, but everyone's waiting on us. Hurry up.
Okay, ignore the first clip of him.
They're ready at the station.
Need a doctor note.
It's giving my audience a chance to build up. We're here at the First Baptist Church in Churchill for a press conference about the situation at Volunteer High School, and
Everyone's already up.
getting ready to start here. We have one TV station that needs to get synced up, and then we'll be ready to go.
Okay.
All right, go for it, man.
Well, I'm Chris Vaughn with the Churchill Rescue Squad, and today I'm part of the incident management team that responded to Volunteer High School. So it's about 7:52 a.m. Hollis County 911 received a call of a possible active shooter. Apparently the person had a firearm. So the command post is established at the Churchill Station 2, just below Volunteer High School. Currently now, the children are being safely transported to a different location outside the school on school buses, taken to the Mount Carmel Armory, which is located just before Kingsford, obviously as you're going through Mount Carmel. So all outside resource requests has been fulfilled. We've contacted the team and we're able to get all the resources we needed from surrounding counties and several different agencies. These resources are being managed by the incident management team. So currently the list of agencies that we have involved is the Hollis County Sheriff's Office, the Churchill Police Department, the Mount Carmel Police Department, the Tennessee Highway Patrol, Kingsport Police Department, Sullivan County Sheriff's Office, Sros Police Department, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is assisting. On the other side of it, you have the Hollis County EMS, Sullivan County EMS, Churchill Rescue Squad, Hollis County Rescue Squad, Sros Fire Department, Carters Valley Fire Department, TEMA, the Hollis County Emergency Management Association, and the Kingsport Fire Department. So this is still a ongoing incident. There are still several resources there now that are currently doing several more detailed sweeps of the school. And any law enforcement questions, if you could refer to the Hollis County Sheriff's Office Facebook page or the Hollis County Sheriff's Office in general. I'm here to speak about the fire EMS and basically the incident command team.
Chris, can you give us any indication of what that looks like right now from your perspective, and what everyone that you have on the ground, what are they doing right now? What are those responsibilities?
So currently we have, with large incidents like this, you have several different people that have to manage and keep track of all those different teams through radio communications. Not everybody's on the same radios, so we have to make sure that each person can communicate with the rest of the team and the command staff. So you have your law enforcement personnel are actively inside the school. They've evacuated the children out to be moved onto the school buses to be transported to the safe location. EMS, several EMS agencies that I listed and rescue agencies are standing by to assist with the traffic control, or in the event that there is any medical emergencies or any type of emergency that can be handled by the resources on the scene. There's also a helicopter on Press Road that's been staging this entire incident.
Can you tell us what happened, and are any students injured? We've heard that there could be possibly some injuries. We also heard rumors of a fatality.
I have not been notified of any fatality. As far as the injuries go, the Hollis County Sheriff's Office, if you look at their post, there has been some injuries, but unrelated to, it's just several things that, not related to the gunshots or anything as such like that.
So were there gunshots? Can you tell us what happened? Like, what was the call? Was someone saying that there was someone coming to the school, or what was the call? I don't know you said that.
The call was just that there was a possible active shooter and that someone had a pistol.
And that's all you know about the situation?
That's all I know about that.
So no one was shot that you know of? No one was shot?
The whole time that I've been here, I was not told that anybody's been shot.
Okay. Has anybody been evacuated in an ambulance or taken out to the hospital or treated for injuries?
Hollis County EMS has transported 2 people, and their conditions unknown, injuries unknown.
Students?
That's unknown.
Okay.
So was there any credibility to have you found that person who may have had that pistol from that original call?
So unfortunately, I'm not speaking for the law enforcement perspective, so any of those would have to be directed toward the Hollis County Sheriff's Office as far as that would go. But it's still active. They are still on the scene there now.
What about any current threat?
As far as to the school,
Well, to you guys, I mean, on the scene and everything, is there?
well, they're still there. They're still obviously being very thorough in their search and things. So until the sheriff's office or the law enforcement says it's good to go, then I'll presume it to still be a threat, and obviously don't go to the school.
Were there any other schools that went into lockdown too?
That would be a question for the school system.
Okay.
And Chris, you said that the crews that you're over are actually treating the medical emergencies. As of right now, what seems to be the condition of the students who are being evacuated and at the schools at this time? What have those interactions been like?
As far as them being taken and put on the bus and such,
Correct. Just how are the students doing right
from what I've seen, very cooperative in line, obviously lining them out to get on the bus, and they are inspected by paramedics or EMTs getting onto the bus, and then obviously when they get back to the armory, they're being assessed again, just to make sure there's no injuries and everyone's okay.
And you said that those injuries earlier, can you give why students were being transported out if there were no gunshots?
I want to do that. The Hollis County Sheriff's will be released more of that. I can just tell you that they were transported, and I don't really know the extent of the injuries or anything of that matter.
When you get a call, like a possible shooter inside of the school, what goes through your mind in terms of, we gotta get there, we gotta get these kids safe?
Well, essentially, it comes down to that's the most precious thing you have is the children, and you're most defenseless. So obviously getting the resources there quickly, and that definitely happened. It was a sea of blue lights just before I could get from Sir Gordonsville to volunteer. So getting there and making sure that everybody's safe. obviously it's number priority.
I know Hawkins County does regular active shooting drills, and you're also a police officer, and you participated in those. So how did the drill compare to the real thing?
So, and I'm glad you brought that up. So that is something they do. They actually go to the schools and they'll do the live training, and they'll act like they'll actually put somebody inside, and they'll go stop it. So it worked very well as far as setting up the instant command system, unified command, having every agency together in one building, your law enforcement, fire, EMS, the school system, anybody that you're going to use team up. So that's your major thing, is managing to make sure that the strategic plan is in place and it's followed, because we have a list of what has to be done when there's incidents like this. So you go through, check all those boxes, and make sure everything gets completed, and it makes it go a lot smoother, not as chaotic. It's a controlled chaos.
So the training that you guys have done in the past, that paid off today then, I would take it.
Hugely. Any training you can get.
Were there situations today where lack of training could have been a real problem or tragic, maybe?
If proper training was in place, I think it obviously would not have went as smoothly.
Yeah.
Chris, do you have any estimate on how many students you all are responsible for transporting to the Mount Carmel Armory?
I would say the staging officer who's there, I actually haven't seen just how many, but I know there was several buses lined up, and they were filling those buses and taking them. So I would say that's several.
Can you tell us, how important it is? I know a lot of parents were showing up to the school, but you guys were asking them not to do that. How important is it for people to stay away from volunteer high school, especially for the next couple of hours as you guys continue to sweep?
So that's very important. So what you do is you get more people in there, and obviously it's the children, it's their children, so it's very emotional. So when you get the emotions, it gets in the way of what's going on, and it becomes a distraction to those first responders, because then the first responders are taking their attention away from what the job at hand is, and they're dealing with a third-party incident. And especially with the children, at that time, they're going to be protected by the law enforcement or whoever's there at the time, and they're just going to be released to whoever. So that's why it's going through a systematic process to transfer them to a location. They're verifying who's getting the child. That way, it's just not chaos.
And just for some further clarity, when we had called EMS, they had said that several people had been transported via ambulance. You're saying it looked more about like 2, and that there were no gunshot wounds in these situations.
I have not been aware of any gunshot wounds. Also, I'm only aware of 2. So unless something's changed, but I don't believe that.
And they were like health related though. They weren't like injuries. Is that right?
As far as I know, that's what it's looking more like, but that's still unknown.
Okay.
I'm not sure on that. That would be an EMS question.
How concerning is it that Hawkins County, they did just post that the suspect has not been located? How concerning is that to you, especially considering that it's a school day and I know that the kids are out, but this is a community?
To me personally, the perimeter is still in place, so anybody that's coming off that property is being checked through various points. There's only so many ways to get out. There's so many police officers there. There's no way you could sneak out. That's for sure. So they're still, like I said, they're still going to be there searching until every inch is cleared.
And I don't know if you can answer this, but we spoke to a student who said that at one point she was notified that there was a suspect in a bathroom, like maybe cornered in a bathroom. Is that accurate, or are you aware of anything like that?
I'm not aware of that. Would be a sheriff's office question.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. First and foremost, I want to thank you to all of the first responders. We've had it described that it was a sea of blue lights. It was a sea of blue lights, red lights, and associated personnel that responded immediately to the situation this morning. They are performing a detailed sweep as we speak. I just received a phone call, and we will be notified of re-entry plans and a debrief at some point later this afternoon.
And that debrief, and who is that going to be among? Are the students ever going to return back to the school today, or is that just teachers and personnel there?
Given the fact that it's 12:30, I would state 11:30. We're moving toward still working on parent reunification of students offsite as was described. Given the fact that we're still in the middle of that, doing a detailed sweep, they're probably another 2 hours away from clearing that up if that's the continued progress. So I would not figure or plan on students returning today.
Can you talk a little bit about the student evacuation process and reunification with the parents? Just walk us through what that process, how y'all did that.
As described, the students are screened. They are told to walk out with their hands above their heads as a sign of being screened and that they are safe to proceed toward buses. They are marched in a line with officers at the front and end of the line, as well as several stages in between with staff members present in the same line. And then they are loaded on the buses. The buses are staged. Once the buses are loaded, they are taken in a caravan over to the reunification offsite.
I asked Mr. Vaughn about the previous training they've had, the active shooter training. Can you talk about that and what your observation was as to the effectiveness of that?
Well, I think it was reiterated earlier, and I completely agree, the more training, the better. And any time that you can train and prepare for these types of situations, the better you are at handling them when something real comes up. And I want to praise our staff and our administrators and those that responded this morning. It seems like they were, from the outside looking in, very, very responsive and Johnny on the spot when they needed to be.
And your faculty and staff go through that also, don't they?
Correct.
So.
Yep.
Mr. Hickson, can you talk about the resources that might be made available to staff, teachers, and students in the coming days?
Counseling and mental health support are already in place. Frontier Health has stepped up, as well as others. Reunification to identify any needs. Beyond today, our school counselors and then the outside agencies will be brought in as needed as well.
And we often talk about school security. Are there any measures already in place at Volunteer High School to prevent someone from making it into the building with a weapon, and will that be considered after this?
I think we always consider that. To answer your question, yes, outside doors are locked. There are points of entry for students coming to school. There's electronic access panels for the main entry to the building. Everybody has to proceed through the office. Of course, drop off in the mornings, doors get left open, teachers let students in, but the more adult and faculty eyes we have on students entering and other strangers entering the campus, the better, and everybody is very, very vigilant to volunteer.
Can you describe what happened this morning, and also how many SROs are at your school, and what was that process like?
We've got SROs at every single location. We've got a lead SRO that also facilitates the other SROs that are located on our school sites. As far as details this morning, you probably know what I know. We received a phone call, as was described earlier this morning, that there was a possible active shooter and that there was a student needing medical assistance, and 911 services were rolled.
And at one point, we did hear from a student that person was barricaded in a bathroom at one point. Can you confirm that?
I can't confirm. I have not been told whether that's factual or not.
How many SROs are stationed though at Volunteer High?
There was one this morning.
Just one.
Yeah.
Talk about coordinating.
We had attendance clerks.
Right now, kind of looking for some of those answers. Has there been any evidence of any possible gunshots or gun found in the school? I think that's one of the most important for them.
What I can tell you now is that I have not been briefed on any evidence of that, so that's good news. Now that could change. That could be that they just haven't seen that or been exposed to that as of yet. But again, that detailed last sweep through the classrooms will turn up any evidence or anything that we can provide as further information.
This is the second day of school for you, and tell me, what's going through your mind as the director of schools here to get a phone call like this so early in the morning, just at the beginning of the school year? What's that like?
When you get a phone call such as this, first and foremost, you want to make sure that you've got students in safe places. So the first phone call is to lock the building down. That was already being done. Simultaneously, we also had staff calling 911, multiple 911 calls. So again, what parents that have to be there, their safety. We want our schools to be safe. Everybody else in Tennessee and across the nation, and unfortunately, there are these types of events that come up. And as mentioned earlier, the better prepared you are, the better you can deal with the real situation when it does arise.
And just to clarify, this timeline was pretty early in the day. Had school already started at that time, or were you still in a parent drop-off period?
We were still in drop-off period, preparing for the first period.
How did you hear about the threat?
I actually received a phone call directly from our lead SRO, Renee Larkin.
Do you know how they found out about it?
No, I believe through dispatch is how she found out.
Do you know at this time if a student, teacher, or somebody made that call to dispatch? Was it somebody inside of that building?
I am not aware of that. We're not sure. I do know that there have been attempts to track down any type of communication leading up to that, so they can determine whether or not it was factual, whether or not it was based on firsthand knowledge, or if it was hearsay, that type of thing.
At this time, are there plans to return students to Volunteer High School tomorrow?
Absolutely. I will take my direction from law enforcement as they conclude this afternoon and we develop our reentry plan, just to make sure that it's first and foremost safe and that we're not tampering with anything that they need to further look into. But the plan is to roll with school tomorrow. We've been through COVID and through a lot of closures, and our intent is to keep students in school and keep them learning.
Very good.
That's all I had.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and sign off. Chris, you got anything else to add?
No. The sheriff's office said he'll get something whenever he,
Is he gonna send out a press release, or is he gonna?
they put something on Facebook,
Okay.
but I'd say they'll follow up when we're done.
Okay.